Austin, good to see you. We are talking about hidden budget busters, how stealth costs can derail your retirement, and of course, what we can do about it. According to Kiplinger, 43% of retirees are more stressed than when they were working, and surprise expenses are a major reason why. So let's talk about number one, healthcare. This is the biggest and often most unpredictable retirement expense. What can we do?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Aaron. It's unpredictable, right? Anything to do with healthcare or medical situations is going to be so circumstantial and individualized, really. It comes down to every person's situation is unique. But we know on average, right, the average American couple will spend $315,000 in
Wow.
on healthcare in retirement. So this is certainly a cost we must plan for, right? We
Yeah.
can't just assume that everything's going to work out. We need to know how are we funding this throughout retirement? And frankly, this is excluding the cost of long-term care. So we're not even talking about any type of nursing home event or scenario. That would be in addition to the 315,000. And we can see these astronomical figures that were just on the screen there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have a plan for that, that could wipe out your savings. All right, next, of course, we have taxes. Retirees often assume they'll be in a lower tax bracket, but that's not often the case.
I would argue this is probably the biggest misconception we see day in and day out is, we assume that because our W-2 earnings are not there anymore, the salary's gone away, we're retired, that we're automatically going to be in a lower tax bracket. But we also have to contend with, perhaps all of those itemized deductions that we used to use, whether it was mortgage interest or charitable giving, are no longer occurring, right? We tend to give more time when we're retired, and frankly, the home tends to be paid off. And also, we have those pesky required minimum distributions to contend with in retirement if we've saved in the most popular manner, which would be a tax deferred account like a 401k or 403b. So we know that if we pull out from those tax deferred accounts, it is 100% taxable on a federal level. So just don't make that assumption, please. Have a professional run the numbers, because in many cases, it's going to cost you if you don't have that answer.
Mhm. Next, we have emergencies. If you don't have a cash cushion, this can really derail your finances.
Step one, this should really be step one, because cash is really so important. And I would argue access to cash, right? Because we
Yeah.
know life tends to happen. It's always going to happen, right? And unfortunately for both of us at some inopportune times when perhaps we don't have that cash cushion, but we really don't want to put ourselves in that position unnecessarily, because it's going to cost us long term. We're going to have to make decisions that perhaps we didn't want to have to make.
Mm. And then Austin, number four, this is the what I found most interesting. Family. A record number of parents right now are helping their adult children with expenses. According to savings.com, the average support right now is about $1,500 a month.
Yeah, we're seeing this more and more, not
Yeah.
only among our own clients, but even clients that are sharing stories, perhaps. And really, I would argue it's not a problem to want to help your child, right?
Right.
That is a natural inclination. And we frankly encourage that if you can. But what is the problem, right? Or where problems can arise is if we don't understand the impact of those decisions, right? How long is this support going to go for? What is the amount of financial support? How do we see this ending, right? Answering all of these questions, having it modeled out into our retirement plan is really what gives us the confidence to say I can or cannot do this and should not continue doing this, or here are the ramifications, right?
Mm,
That is the most important conversation to be having.
right. And then last, of course, we have inflation. This has to be built into your plan, especially since retirement now can last decades.
Yeah, that's the good and bad, right, of us living longer. Obviously, we're here for much more life and hopefully to enjoy a much longer life. But of course, that means our money has to last just as long as we do. So inflation is simply, right, accounting for the fact that over time things will cost more. So we need to assume that, right, perhaps a 80,000 or 100,000 or 150,000 a year lifestyle today perhaps could cost 200 or 250,000 in 10 to 15 years, right? That is the reality. And I would argue not only accounting for inflation, but make sure that we're revising those expectations,
Mm,
right? Every year we should be revisiting, do we need to adjust this inflation upward or downward for what has occurred? And at a minimum, every few years, making that
mhm,
adjustment.
mhm. Yeah, no, it's great to talk this through, Austin. Clearly, this is the world you live in. You're always designing plans to mitigate all of these risks, and they're not surprises to you, but other people find them that way. So if somebody wants to talk through what they've learned today, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, you can give us a call at 919-322-4113 or send us an email at info@patriotwealthnc.com.
Great. Austin, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.